Greetings, mighty companions, and welcome back to Transforming Relationships Through A Course in Miracles with Duck Quins
And Holy Spirit.
in the house.
Yes,
In
always
the
with
house.
us.
Oh,
Yep.
and ready with some miracles, as always.
Mm-hmm.
Could you use a miracle?
I could use a miracle.
Got miracles? Me too. I could use, and the world I live in could use some miracles too.
You know, really, the bottom line of a miracle is joy and happiness.
That's
Could you
what it
use
is.
some more joy? Could you use some more happiness? Because that's what a miracle is. Imagine it, you know, in the stories of miracles where somebody, you know, was healed of cancer or something, and you're going, that's a miracle, but that's also what? Very joyous.
Yeah, very joyous. Absolutely. When you have been full of fear and guilt and pain and suffering and lack, and you're broke, and then you experience some joy and abundance and peace, what do you say?
That's
You
a
go,
miracle.
that's a miracle.
Yeah.
That's a miracle.
I was saved.
Oh my
I
God.
thought so surely I was in trouble there.
Mm-hmm, exactly. And this is a course in miracles.
Mm-hmm.
This is a curriculum, an organized, consistent curriculum in how to experience miracles in your life that are as natural and right as breathing is to the body.
Right.
So that you experience, the Course in Miracles says miracles are natural. When miracles don't occur, something has gone wrong.
Right.
You know, miracles are natural. So it's natural for things to go right. It's natural for wonderful, good things to occur. It's natural for you to feel peaceful and joyful and happy and loved and loving. That's natural. That's the way the universe is. When miracles don't occur, then you're going against natural universal law somehow.
And what would we say to people that, you know, they hear that and that's all great. It's great to hear that, but if we feel like in our life that things aren't going joyfully, happily, you know, everything seems to be a struggle or a fight or I'm at contention with the world all the time, you know, what would we say to people that feel like that that's what they're experiencing and not, you know, more joy, more happiness?
We say, aren't you glad that the truth is that miracles, that you could have a miracle of peace and joy and abundance and safety very naturally, very easily? You know, we would ask them, sometimes I ask my clients, if you could have a miracle of peace and healing in this area, would you want one? aside from your belief as to whether you deserve one or one is possible, aside from all that, do you want one if you could have one?
Right.
You know, would you want a peaceful solution to this problem if you could have one?
Right.
You know, and most of the time they're like, well, yeah. But, you know, that's the first question to ask is, would you like to experience a miracle even if you don't see how one could be possible for you right now?
Yeah, because if you're crippled in the area of your life of happiness and joy, you know, blind to your joy, and you need a miracle to have your eyes opened up to see the joy that's the Course says is there. And sometimes we struggle, or not sometimes, but often we struggle at seeing what's really there, or we're crippled in the area of fulfilling our function, which is to be happy. And I love something that Anna, I heard her say this early on in our relationship. The first time I ever heard her say it, it was just like, and it was, somebody was like what I'm talking about, in a way complaining, this is how my life has been, this is how it was, this is, you know, how when I grew up and blah, 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 blah. And she just was smiling, listening, and listening, smiling, and said it after they had shared, well, that's how it has been, but what do you want now? Like, now's a new moment. Do you have to live in what happened last week or yesterday or a month ago, or how things were struggling and how you weren't happy? Now's a new opportunity, and that's what the Course takes us into, is to learn how to fulfill our function so that we are experiencing joy and happiness, not just, once a year for 3 days out of the 7 on our vacation.
Hopefully.
But
If you didn't get sunburned or get hung
hopefully
over.
we get those 3 at least. But what I'm saying, or after 2 or 3 weeks of hard work, you finally got a day to just sit around the house and do nothing. But to have it more and more and more,
Natural.
more experiencing
Natural.
it more.
Yes, beautiful. And the Course in Miracles does say something really radical that I had never heard anywhere else, anywhere. And I had been around the metaphysical, spiritual, psychological, therapeutic thing all my life. I'd never heard anyone, any curriculum tell me that my function, the function that my Creator gave me, was to be happy. Like, had you ever heard that before?
No,
I certainly never heard that from my religion. That's for dang sure.
It's always been my function is to sacrifice, to tithe,
to obey,
to give, to do it this way, to dress this way,
to be something that I'm not.
Yeah, it doesn't matter if I'm happy or not. It's just a matter of am I obeying the rules.
Right, exactly.
And to find out that our function is to be happy, it makes our head do one of those twists, almost throws our neck out. Like, what did you say?
Yes.
To be what?
My function is to be what?
That's what you're saying. That's what God made me for, is to be happy. I thought it was just to make God happy.
Yeah. Whoever heard that?
At the expense of my happiness, if need be.
I love that. I love what Mary is saying. She says, I use that mantra you gave me. It's safe for me to be happy.
Oh, I love that.
I gave her a mantra to say, so that because you may notice that when you start feeling a little happy, then you start to feel a little scared and guilty, like, oh, I'm sure there's something else I'm supposed to be doing besides this. That's been bred in because we've been taught that it's not natural to be happy and that our job is not to be happy. It's to sacrifice and obey and be good and whatever. That now when we experience some happiness, we get scared.
Right.
And then we sabotage it.
We feel guilty.
We feel guilty about it. And to break that mental association, that mental habit, I was telling Mary, like I tell lots of people, I do it for myself. I have to tell myself when I'm feeling happy, this is safe to feel happy. Mm-hmm. This is natural. It's safe and natural to feel happy. I have to tell myself that to break that association between what God wants for you really is only to sacrifice, not to be happy. Mm-hmm. So thank you, Mary, for bringing that back to me as a reminder. And I love it. Mary says, it seems like every time I'm going through something, you cover it in your class. That's a miracle. That's right.
Yep.
And she says, miracles are happening to me. Yes, I recognize that is true, Mary. Yes.
I totally get that, Mary, too. Before I was co-teaching with Anna, I would always sit in the classes as her student, and it would just dumbfound me when I would leave driving out of the parking lot, like, that was just for me. Man, God, you are speaking right to me into what I'm going through this week. Like, this is what I'm dealing with, and then you came out and just like did a 1-2 on the ego and gave me some knowledge and understanding now. And that's what I love about the Course, of practical applications that I can do now when the ego, which is a belief system, comes at me, which is I don't deserve to be happy.
Right.
I should feel guilty because I'm doing
Exactly.
something I shouldn't be.
Yep.
I'm being happy. That when I'm aware of that coming in, I can go, oh, that's the old Greg. And now we have a new Greg. The new Greg recognizes, oh, that was just bad training, bad teaching.
That's right.
And don't be mad at the teachers. They were taught wrong too. And be glad that we've come across the curriculum, which is the evidence we must be getting tired of not being happy.
Yes.
And we decide to return home.
Exactly. Beautiful. All right, well, guys, where we're at today, drum roll, please. Thank you. Is the two emotions.
The two emotions.
The Course in Miracles always is saying things I've never heard anywhere else, like there's only two emotions. You only have two emotions. I only have two emotions. It seems like
I have lots of emotions.
In a day, I go through lots of emotions. No, you only got two emotions, and all the emotions that you experience can be derived from one or the other. And so that's what we're going to be reading, chapter 13, section 5, in both of the editions of A Course in Miracles. And this happens, it's so funny, before class, I was in the bathroom and literally I heard this voice that said, why don't you and Greg just pick up where you left off in your reading? And I was like, oh, well, no, we have to do random number generator. To make sure we're getting what Spirit wants us to do, right? And then we did the random number generator, and it was literally came onto the section we had left off in our reading. I was like,
Anna and I got a spiritual download a while back. We're not going to say how long ago.
Yes.
To read the whole Course in Miracles together. And so we started, and here we are in chapter 13. And I was in the bathroom before class because it's been such a busy week and whatever, that that's what I tell myself, that we haven't really had time to read every night like we had been. And when we were reading consistently and regularly
every night,
you really do notice, strangely, oddly, that just things start happening in your week.
Miracles.
It's like
miracle answers.
For me, what it is the more I read it, I can connect it with the more I feel like Spirit is showing me you're not alone. And that's the atonement, is the awareness that you're not alone.
That's right.
And the reading seems to, I think what it is it's our demonstration to love, to Spirit, to God, to Creator, to the universe. It's our demonstration that we want to connect. This is us.
We want to be led.
This is our free will demonstrating that we want to join you.
We want to be led by you.
And this is how we know how to do it, is to do it in words, reading words. But love doesn't care. Love recognizes our call to want to connect, and then through the week, that connection starts happening.
And the miracles flow. We recognize that the more consistently we read, the more consistently miracles flow in our life.
Yeah, easily.
Problems get answered. Just everything that we need shows up exactly when we need it. Long-time problems get resolved. So we have learned the connection between consistent study together and the flow of miracles in our lives. Like reading the Course in Miracles together for Greg and I is our number one problem-solving approach. So before we go like, oh, we got to figure out this problem. Before we do that, we're like, let's just read.
Yeah.
And then usually while we're reading or shortly thereafter, it's like,
whatever
the
problem was.
That's it. Yeah. So it gets resolved somehow.
It's not spooky weird. It's reality because we are joined. That's a fact. We are joined with our Maker, and our Maker wants to be involved with us, and the more
wants to help us,
yeah.
wants to support us.
Yes.
But we have to say, yes, we want that. Yes, we want your support, love, before we can receive it. Not because God has made that as a condition. You better ask if you want to receive. No, it's that God has to wait till we ask, because God can't go against our will. Right. Even God won't go against your will, and so God has to wait till we say, yes, we want your miracles, we want your healing plan, we want your peace, we want your answers. So when we're reading the Course, we are implicitly telling Spirit, we want your answers. We want your plan for our happiness, not our own. Or else we wouldn't be reading the Course in Miracles. We'd be sitting there plotting and planning,
As
we'd be making a plan,
a plan, for our happiness.
Yes. And hi, Bridget. Lovely to see you.
Hi, Bridget.
Yes. And Mary says, wow, studying the Course creates miracles and such flow for me too. Yeah, I mean, honestly, that's what Greg and I are about as Course teachers, is supporting people in learning the miracle treasure trove powerhouse that studying the Course in Miracles is. It's wonderful. It's one thing to come to a class and listen to the Course and apply it during class. It's a whole nother thing to discover the Course for yourself. To start reading the Course for yourself and applying what you're reading to what you're going through in that moment. That is where your ultimate release is. It's when you are studying the Course and using the Course for yourself that the real power and miracles are released. So that's our purpose, is to be teachers of A Course in Miracles, like that saying, if you feed a man a fish, you give a man a fish, you feed him for a day. If you teach that man to fish, you feed that man for a lifetime. Right. We feel that way about A Course in Miracles. And we want to teach you how to fish in the Course in Miracles for yourself, so that the Course in Miracles will feed you spiritually and every other way for a lifetime.
And I personally believe that naturally none of us are elevated over another, but the Course says that Spirit gives the teachers of God temporarily
special gifts.
And what I've come to realize, at least what I feel like, is the special gifts is when I first came to your classes, especially with the Christianity upbringing that I had, when you would be reading, and I was very dedicated to the book. I mean, I wore that book out.
Yes, you did.
Like a hamster wheel. I was always if I wasn't in class, I was reading it when I wasn't having to work. And but I really struggled with it, because as I read it, I'd see the words atonement, salvation, sin, and decades upon decades
of programming,
of being taught what those words meant. And so I had learned those words, and that's the beauty of our loving Creator, is our loving Creator didn't take those words away from us. Those words that we grew up with and that we carried around like a blanket, salvation.
Those Judeo-Christian words.
And I carried that word salvation around. But when you would read as a teacher with special gifts temporarily, and then it said at the end, we all have the same gifts. In the end, now when I'm reading, thanks to the time that it took me, some people get it faster and some longer. I'm a slower type learner, but I'm ambitious when I have something that I really want to learn.
That's true.
And I would listen to you reading, Anna, as you know, when she's reading, she doesn't say the word atonement or salvation. She says what the interpretation was already given or getting ready to be given in the section.
Yeah.
Every section I've learned through your teaching, literally re-teaches you what that word means. It doesn't take the word salvation away from you.
It redefines it.
It redefines it. So it's like a whole new dictionary in your mind now. A new code, you could say. The ego has its code, and all of its words, notice the interpretations are painful, sacrifice, tormenting, scary, nerve-wracking, give me anxiety.
Exactly.
And that's why when those words were read in class, it was like, little shock, little bits of shock hitting you.
Yeah.
But then when they're reinterpreted, it becomes a love letter. It really
Yes.
does.
Exactly. And I see my purpose as a course teacher as just being a translator.
Right.
That's my it's like A Course in Miracles is a language, and I'm a translator. And I translate this language into a language that everybody can understand, using only definitions that the course itself gives for these words. And so that's what my purpose is. And I had a translator, in my teacher Earl. And if I had not had a translator teaching me the true definition of the terms in the course, I would have never started it. Being raised Jewish, and then come to the Course in Miracles, which is using what sound like Christian words, even though they're actually Judeo and Christian words. They're Old Testament and New Testament words. I would have been like, oh, no thank you, I'm not into religion. So that's what we're doing here, is we're translating this language into everyday language, so that people who have been traumatized by religion, like I have, like most people have been traumatized and abused by religion in one way or another, so that people who have been traumatized and abused by religion can hear A Course in Miracles and hear what it's really saying, which is the opposite of what we all heard from our religions, which was all about sacrifice and judgment and scary stuff. Not loving.
Well, on that note, maybe why don't you do some translating?
How about we do some translating? All right. Beautiful. Exactly, Mary. Yes. All right, here we go. Everybody, Chapter 13, Section 5, the two emotions. And so the author of the course starts off by saying, I have said you have only two emotions, love and fear.
That's it.
That's it. Now, one of those emotions is changeless, but is continually being exchanged, being offered by the eternal to the eternal. That one is love. And then in this exchange of love between being offered by the eternal to the eternal, in this exchange, this emotion, love, is extended, because the emotion called love increases as it is given. So you only have two emotions, and one of them, love, is changeless, but it's being continually exchanged. Meaning it's continually being given by the eternal to the eternal, and every time love is being given from the eternal to the eternal, it increases. And then every time we take that love and extend that love increases. So that's the first thing he wants to know about the emotion called love.
And fear works under the same give and receive concept.
That's
too.
Right.
But fear is not eternal. No matter what's going on, it's easy for me to say because I don't have cancer. But if it was a story of cancer, that could be very
frightening.
Very scary.
And it was frightening when Your mother had cancer.
Yeah,
I mean, it's frightening whenever
right.
we hear that somebody has cancer.
Right.
You know.
But it
It's
is
not
not
eternal.
eternal.
That's right.
Because where my mother is right now is eternal.
That's right.
Which is not anymore in fear, because the cancer died, the cancer ended.
Yeah.
The cancer
But she
doesn't
did
have
not.
a body to host on anymore.
That's right.
But the spiritual person, the spiritual being, the true nature of who my mother is, not was, is
That's right.
still lives on for
Exactly.
eternity. The cancer didn't stop that. And so fear is not eternal.
Exactly. Love, as one of the two emotions, is changeless, but it's being continually exchanged, meaning that love is being continually offered by the eternal to the eternal, that's us, and in this exchange, it is extended because love increases as it's given. Okay? Now, the other emotion, fear, it has many forms. Fear has many forms.
Oh, lots of them.
So many. A whole world of them.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe a whole universe of forms.
Yeah. How far in our day to day would we have to look back to see when the offerings of fear came in front of us?
Exactly.
I had them all day today.
Exactly. Fear, the other of the two emotions, fear has many forms.
Mm-hmm.
Why? Because the content of individual fears differs greatly. Yet fears have one thing in common. Fears are all insane.
They're all insane.
So fears take many forms. Many forms according to everybody has their own personal forms of fear. Mm-hmm. My forms of fear may not be your forms of fear, may not be your forms of fear. Fear takes many different forms, but there's one thing that all fears have in common. They're all insane.
They're all insane.
They're all insane, meaning they're all inaccurate.
When something's not true,
exactly.
Even though what we're fearing seems awful true.
It sure seems awful real and true in the moment.
I mean, they seem awful true.
My fears definitely seem true. I mean, if my fears didn't seem real, I wouldn't be afraid of them.
Yeah. Yep. I go out inspecting properties on certain days of the week. And this one particular person came out, the next door neighbor, looking a little hostile. And when that's happening, I'm not thinking, I'm an eternal being. I'm fully protected by love. I'm a child of God.
I cannot die.
I was thinking,
You're like, I hope they don't have a weapon.
Oh, mercy. I wonder if I should just, if they notice if I don't look over and I just keep driving.
I hope they don't have a gun.
You know, the fear's always being offered up. Always being offered up.
Always.
Or there's love, which I could have been thinking, and why wasn't I? I guess that's a good question to ask myself. Is how did that perceived problem show up? Maybe they were thinking they came out of their house and who knows what was going on. It had nothing to do with me.
Right.
And so, what am I looking for?
Exactly.
Fear or love?
Exactly.
What am I seeking?
And if fear, no matter what form it takes, is insane, then that would have to mean that, okay, now it's always defining itself. So just when you're reading A Course in Miracles, you know, the next sentence will always explain the sentence before. That's why the Course in Miracles says if you don't understand a concept, a sentence, just keep reading.
Yeah.
So like for instance, it says, even though the form of fears differs greatly, all the fears all have one thing in common. They are all insane. What does that mean? It means all the fears are made of sights that are not seen, and all the fears are made up of sounds that are not heard. What it means is that fears make up a private world that cannot be shared. Okay? Why? Because fears are made up of sights and sounds that are not happening, things that are not true. And so fears make up a private world that cannot be shared. Why? Because miracles are meaningful only to their maker. So fears make a private world for us that nobody can understand. You know, the fears that I have, nobody is experiencing those fears like I am. You know, I can tell them, this is my fear, but nobody's feeling my fears with me. And so my fears make up a private world, a world that nobody shares with me. I mean, people can go, oh, poor dear, but nobody's feeling my fears like I am, because fears are not shared. And so fears make up a private world for yourself that cannot be shared. So even though people are like, oh, I killed that must be terrible, you know, it doesn't really make you feel better because, you know, nobody can really share your fears because nobody experiences your fears like you do. You may say, I have a fear of spiders, and they're like, oh, well, I don't have a fear of spiders. So you're alone in your fears. Fears are something fears can't be shared. So whatever fears I have, I'm going to be alone in my fears. Even when people are like, oh, that must be terrible, right? So something good to know about fears, they can't really be shared, even though you can tell people about them and they can say, oh, wow, oh my goodness, that sounds bad. But, you know, your fears make a private world for you where you will feel alone.
Right, and when I'm giving out fear, I may not be able to share them with you, but I'm going to share them with myself. They can't be shared because I'm going to individually keep what I gave. If I gave fear, then I'm going to keep fear.
Yes.
And then I'm going to have a private world that cannot be shared. It's going to come back to me. And that's what I feel like of all of our classes, a lot of them that you've done lately too, because they're all, and even I've noticed at the Miracle Center, when we're hearing classes, they seem to keep coming back to the give and take.
Yeah, give and receiving are the same.
Give and receive. And the fear falls into the same concept, but it's a world that we don't want to create.
Right.
Why would I want to give fear? Because now I'm creating a world of fear to come back and be my experience.
Yes.
And a private world that can't be shared.
Right.
Each person, that's why the Course always says, I'm not a victim. You're not a victim, because we're all experiencing the world that we've given.
Yeah, our own private world. I love what Judith is saying. Judith says, interesting point you said. Fears take many forms, and the common thing is that they are all insane, meaning inaccurate. Exactly. She says, I intend to remember this more as the fears are offered up, and stay curious about why the fear comes up and see it as sitting in a private world that I can exit. Beautiful. Well said. So it's defining fears here. What it means to say that fears are inaccurate is to say that fears are showing you sights that are not accurate, and fears are giving you sounds that are not heard. In other words, fear is always giving you inaccurate information.
False. They're lies.
Yes, fears are always lies. I love the acronym for fear that I've heard, fear, false evidence appearing real.
Oh, I love that.
And it's true that, you know, because what is true and accurate in reality is nothing that you would need to fear. What is accurate in reality, what is reality, is nothing you would need to fear. So if there's something that's frightening, it's showing you something that's not in alignment with what is real and true. As in, you know, reality.
And doesn't it make sense what we're talking about, kind of rambling as we were before class started, about our function to be happy, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so if our Creator made us and made our function, we didn't make our function.
Mm-hmm.
Our Creator made our function, which is to be happy.
Mm-hmm.
Would it be reasonable that our Creator would, our Maker would then go, okay, your function to be happy, and then
But
put you in
here's
a
all
world,
these things to fear.
yeah, put you in a world where there's always anxiety
Something
and
to fear.
That would have to be on
Mm-hmm.
us.
Mm-hmm.
We need to come to the awareness that that's on me.
Right.
And because
I'm
Maker,
the author of fear,
yeah,
not God.
my Maker didn't put me in
No.
a situation
That I need to be
I should
afraid.
be fearful.
Right.
I'm the one
Exactly.
coming up with this
Yeah, exactly.
storyline. I'm the one, as it said, hearing what's not.
It says fears are made of sights that are not seen, and fears are made of sounds that are not heard.
Yeah. Like the guy I talked about, the neighbor who came out and put his hands on his chest. And
He
he's
was
like
seeing
looking
and
at me.
hearing a threat.
And I am looking suspicious. I stopped and took a picture of his neighbor's house. Snapped a couple
But the
pictures.
truth is that he didn't really need to fear you.
Yeah, he didn't
And
need
so
to fear
he
me.
was
And I
seeing
didn't
you as
need
a
to
threat.
fear, and vice
And
versa.
you didn't need to see
and
him
I
as a
felt
threat.
like fear was coming up.
Exactly.
And so what were we both doing? We were both creating private worlds.
Exactly.
within
That
our
were not
own,
shared.
Making these worlds that don't exist. And I'm hearing in my head what he would probably say to me if he came up to me.
Right.
You know.
And so if you only if you were seeing things inaccurately would you need to be afraid, and him as well.
Right.
And so like Judas is saying, the Course in Miracles is teaching us how to reinterpret our fears and to see them correctly
Mm-hmm.
as false evidence appearing real. And the Course in Miracles is teaching us how to see and interpret fear correctly, and how to question that, and how to accept and recognize the truth that only produces love, because it's only coming from love. So.
And it makes sense, that last line, in this world. What world? The one that I made.
The fears
the
maker.
sounds that aren't really heard, and the sights that really aren't seen. In this world, the Maker moves alone, because
Fears maker.
I created alone that
Fears
world.
maker.
Creator didn't create that world.
Of
Creator
fear.
didn't join me. So I'm walking alone.
Without God.
And think about how powerful this is, not just with a random guy on a neighborhood street like that, but in our relationships. When we're having fear come up in our personal, more intimate relationships, not just some random stranger on a block. And how often does fear come up, you know?
lot.
And so when it comes up, I love that again. Say it again, false
Evidence appearing real.
appearing real.
Right. It's
If
like
I could just remember that, you know, whenever I have stuff come up, like sometimes I'll feel guilty in Anna and my relationship, because let's say like I love playing poker, and sometimes I'm like, I'm probably playing too much, and she's over there busting her butt at home on the computer getting this stuff. She's doing real meaningful stuff. and the guilt comes up, which is what? Fear. And if I could just remember, because that's when the ego, the old belief system, comes up to punish us. We deserve punishment. And if I could remember that more often, this is just fear presenting itself as false evidence.
this is false evidence
Come on.
appearing real.
Yeah.
And then go to what is true.
Yeah.
And what is true and real in any situation is going to be loving.
Right.
You know, and so, you know, what would love say to your fear? You know, that I would blah, blah, whatever, you know. And so the first part is learning through A Course in Miracles to recognize fear. We don't even recognize fear yet, you know. Recognize fear, redefine it according to the way love does, false evidence appearing real, and then asking, for what love sees and hears, what love knows.
And it'll come easily, believe me, once we just have that awareness, like Anna said, of what it is.
Right, exactly. Exactly. And that's what A Course in Miracles is helping us to do.
Right.
Course in Miracles is helping us to learn that there's only two emotions and how to tell them apart.
Right.
And how to choose one in place of the other.
So when one shows up at the door and rings our doorbell, we can look out the window.
Go, oh, I can tell that's fear.
No, thank you.
No, thank you. I already sacrificed plenty in the past.
Sign. No solicitation of fear. If that's what you're here for.
Yes, exactly.
Because I know your false
Yes.
evidence.
Yes.
I'm tired of listening to your lies. Liar, liar, pants on fire.
Exactly. All right. Okay, so that was paragraph 1, y'all.
All right. Moving swiftly along.
Beautiful. And thank you, Judith. Thank you. You're picking up what we're laying down, Judith. So thank you. It's beautiful. And welcome to our class, Judith. I don't know if I've met you or seen you in class before, but welcome. It's wonderful to have you here.
Thank you for being here.
Yeah. Okay, paragraph 2. And each person peoples their world with figures from their own individual past. And because everybody peoples their individual world from their individual past, this is why private worlds do differ. I'm peopling my world from people from my individual past, and you're peopling your world from people from your individual past. And that's why it seems like we have different personal private worlds. Yet the figures in our personal private worlds, the figures that we see in our personal private worlds were never real, because the figures in our personal private worlds were made up only of our reactions to them, and our reactions to them, and our world doesn't include our reactions to them. In other words, therefore, we do not see that we made those personal figures that people are individual worlds. Like I have like my cast of characters from my past. Okay, you know about some of them, right?
Sure.
And I know about some of the people that the figures in your personal past. Some of them. Okay, glad you left out. The female ones.
And the male ones.
And the and the male ones.
Just leave them all out.
I know, but is saying that the people that have the figures that people your past life, those people they're not real. Meaning that that the way that I saw all the people in my past, I only saw one side. I didn't see who they really were. All I saw was my reactions to them. So all the people in my past, I don't really know who they really are, because my perceptions of them only include the way I saw them, and they do not include their reactions to me. So in other words, like the Course in Miracles says, that the past that you think happened, it never happened like you think it happened. And the people in your past, you didn't even know who they really were. All you were seeing is your projections on those folks. So all those people in your past, you don't even know who they really were. You don't even know who they really are, right? All you know is your reactions, your interpretations of them, right? And so, and that's true about everybody's personal past lives. The people that like if you were to tell me about all the people in your past, you would not be telling me who they really are. You don't even know who they really are. You're just telling me about your interpretations of all those people in your past.
Right.
You don't really know all those people in your past.
Right.
Even though you may think you do. Like, I know them, And so everybody has peopled their private worlds with figures from their past that they never did interpret or perceive correctly. Just like the people in your past, when they think back about you, they're not perceiving you as you really are. They're thinking, oh yeah, Ann and I, we used to go out. I know who she is. No, they don't. But they think they do. And that's the way we are with the people in our past. Like, we think we know who they are. But he's saying, no, you don't know the figures in your past. You don't know who they are, just like they don't know who you really are.
Yeah, we think that all kinds of things, like they're a dying thing, they're a lying thing, they're limited.
We literally think we know who they
We have
were.
no clue who we are, yet we think we know all the characters around us.
Yes.
That's the epitome of arrogance. Like, you don't even know who you are, son.
Exactly. In other words, we really think that we understand the people that are in our past and the things that happened in our past. He's saying, no, you don't. You don't know the people that were in your past. You don't know what really happened in your past. The people and the things that happened in your past are not what happened in the past. Just like those people, they don't know who you really are. They'll be like, oh, I know Anna. We went out a few times. I know how I know her. No, you don't. But just as insane is me thinking that I am seeing correctly all the people in my past, and that my past occurred as I remember it. That's insane. No, your past did not occur as you remember it, and the people from your past are not who you think they are.
And wouldn't you say,
don't know them.
Wouldn't you say this is one of those parts in the course where if you just have that awareness, there's the healing. Not if you just have the understanding of that.
Yeah.
Because I can't really understand that. It's beyond my understanding because I don't understand.
Yeah.
Because I don't understand my brothers and sisters. Because I don't understand myself. But that's what the Course is teaching us, is the remembrance of who we are.
Exactly. And just like you were just saying, the people in our past, we don't see that we made them and that our interpretations of them are not complete.
Right.
We think, oh, I know who that person is, and I know what their motivations were, and I know who that person is. No, you don't. But you think you do. Just like they think they know all of the truth about you, even though they don't.
Well, what relationship do we have where we haven't categorized them as like just you and me? I believe that I know that there's things that could be fearful about you. When truth is, there's nothing to be fearful
That's
with
right.
you. There's nothing that I am vulnerable about,
Right.
weary about. But yet I've created this person
Yes.
where you could be loving.
You've created a
and
fearful...
instead of eternal, the way the eternal works is changeless, or you could be fearful.
Right, exactly.
I mean, you could be doing this, you could be doing that, or you might do this.
Exactly.
And all of those, so you could be fearful or loving. And where reality says, that is insane.
That's right.
Greg, that is insane. That's a character you made that changes with the seasons.
The character, the image of me that your ego sees that could be hurtful to you, that's a false image.
Right.
That's false evidence appearing real, but you don't question it.
Right.
You're like, oh yeah,
that's just natural. I mean,
that's what she
everybody's
is,
that way. Everybody, they can be fearful.
Right.
I just have to watch how I behave around them, talk around them, blah, blah, blah.
Not realizing that you made that concept of that person up.
Right.
Now, I'm not somebody who is also hurtful.
Right.
But you've made up a concept and think that's me and think that that's who I am, just like we do with everybody in our life. So it's letting us know that the way we see the people in our past, that is false evidence appearing real. You know, just because you see them that way as something to also be feared, that means you do not see them as who they really are.
Right.
You know? And so what we see of others has nothing to do with who and what they are. What we see of others is just our interpretations of them, which is really our interpretations of ourselves. So then it says, so the people from our past, the figures that people are private worlds, we don't see, we made them up. And we don't see that the way we see them is definitely not complete. We just think, oh yeah, I know who that. I know that guy. I know that girl. And they are bad news. You know, we don't realize, wow, I made that concept of them up. I don't know who they are. The way I see them, I made that up. What I see them to be, I made that up. We don't see that. Therefore, we do not see we made them, those figures, those people that figure, those figures of the people who make up our past. Now, because these figures from our past, these people who people our past, these figures from our past, they have no witnesses. Why? Because these figures from our past, they are being perceived in one separate mind only. That's ours. You know, the way I see them, that's only happening in my mind. It's definitely not happening in God's mind.
Yeah, I'm seeing them as fearful or a threat.
Guilty, a threat.
Or maybe they're thinking guilty thoughts, or I'm thinking guilty thoughts about them. Either way, whatever, I'm making an image, and now it makes more sense of why it says thou shalt not have any false images that you worship, other gods that you worship before me. I'm creating an image of my brother and sister that's not a real
that I'm
image.
worshiping.
I don't have any reason to be fearful of them or to be, you know, cautious of, but yet I'm creating that image. And of course in our daily lives we're like, well, yeah.
So true. And it says, so that was paragraph 2, by the way.
Yes.
Okay. Now, it is through these strange and shadowy figures from our past that we, the insane, relate to our insane world. So when I'm insane, the way I relate to my world is I base all of my perceptions on what I have seen of others in my past. So I go like, well, because all men were like that in my past, because I saw all men like that in my past, that is how all men are right now. And that's how I'm going to relate to all men right now. That is me being insane, relating to the people in my present world as if they were the people in my past life.
And
thinking I'm right.
And the way I saw, let's say you were one of my previous relationships.
One of your many.
Not say many. Let's just say one of them. You were one of my past relationships, okay?
Okay.
I'm 60-something years old, you know, I've had a lot of time to have relationships.
Yeah.
But what we're missing on this train ride with Holy Spirit is that I think that, for example, well, if Anna does this, and she'll be doing just what that person and that girl in my past did, and the results were hurtful. They hurt me. They made me sad. They made me cry. They made me upset.
Broke my heart.
And what I'm totally missing in life is that situation, that relationship, when it happened back then, I was totally evaluating it insanely. I didn't look at that relationship in the correct light. And there's the root of the problem. The problem isn't she's doing the same thing. All she's doing is coming back and giving me a chance to see it correctly this time, instead of judging it wrong as fearful and hurtful and harmful. And just not condemn it, not ill judge it, but let it be this time, and then watch what happens.
Exactly.
We're like, well, that wouldn't be very safe.
Exactly. And so apparently you're being insane if you relate to the person who's here now as if they were the person in the past.
Yeah.
But that's what we do, right? We're like, oh, well, this is the way all the men in my past were, and so I'm now going to assume that Greg is like that. And I'm going to relate to Greg as if he is that.
Mm-hmm.
As if I know what he is. He is what my past was. Right?
The character
and he
that
may
I
do
made.
exactly the characters that I made up in my mind.
Uh-huh.
Now I am projecting that onto you in the present. The Course in Miracles defines that as insanity.
Right.
Like seeing you as if you were the people in my past is insanity. And I'm sitting here thinking, oh yeah, I know what men are like. I know what men want. I know what men do. Not realizing that I am 100% made up the concept of the men in the past who do whatever. And then projected that onto you, not realizing that I was wrong about them and I am wrong about what I'm seeing in you. And what that means is that I'm insane. I'm seeing things that aren't there. I'm hearing things that aren't there, you know. And I'm not seeing you.
And I'm attempting to relive not seeing it correctly,
Yes,
not hearing
exactly.
it correctly all over again.
Yep.
Just looping it until I finally get it that, oh,
this person isn't
you're
my
not
past.
hurting me. You're not
Right.
doing anything to me.
Exactly. I mean, really, when you have correct perception, you will look back into your past with only gratitude.
Right.
You'll be like, oh my God, that person was my savior. They released me from myself, or they mirrored something to me that I desperately needed to learn that I was in denial about. And oh my God, I'm so grateful. You know, truly, if you're looking back and you see somebody as anything but your savior, your friend, your helper, you are truly not seeing reality. You're not seeing what's really there to be seen.
Yeah, as one of them said, I don't know if it was Demi or Judas, that we're only seeing fragments
Yes.
of them.
Exactly. Yes.
We're not seeing the whole
Exactly.
of who they are.
That's right.
The whole of who they are is loving.
That's right.
The whole of who they are is not at all fearful.
That's right. Truly, if you were seeing the people in your past correctly, you know, there'd be only appreciation and gratitude.
And now I'd see it, and now I would see them as God created them.
Exactly. And you wouldn't be interpreting me in the present in terms of the past, your past interpretations of these people.
And deeper into the Course, that we learn that, you know, the way I'm seeing you anyway is the way I believe about myself.
Exactly. It has nothing to do.
You're really I might say, beautiful mirror that is up on my wall every time I'm around you, reflecting what I think about myself, that I'm someone to be feared.
Yes.
I'm someone not to be trusted.
Exactly.
I'm someone to possibly be harmful or to hurt somebody.
Yes.
And those are all the attributes I believe about myself, and that's how the world of perception works. Perception is projection.
That's right.
And so I'm projecting that onto you. And then I'm horrified that I think that I'm receiving that from you. Because
you're certain you're receiving that from me.
I believe that about myself. It's like you put the gear shift in the vehicle of your being, and now you seek that to prove that you're right. I cannot be trusted. And I'm going to project that onto you, and now I'm going to believe that I'm seeing you that way, which is totally blind now. Why? It started with I can't see myself correctly, and now I can't see you. It's impossible that I see you correctly. And when we see it that way, it almost becomes more of a relief, because I can go, oh, this is the measuring stick. This is like my test being turned back after a testing class, going, well, you got a C plus, which is much better than the F that you were getting about the way you saw yourself for many years. And you're getting better and better at seeing yourself as God created you.
Exactly. It's just like Demi said, it's very freeing.
Yeah.
You know, when you recognize that your perception of anyone is coming from how you see yourself,
right.
Perception is projection, it's very freeing, because now you're, instead of trying to project onto somebody else and blame them for the way you see yourself, now you're just recognizing that you're seeing them the way you see yourself, and you can choose again. You know, right. It's truly how you free yourself from repeating the past patterns unconsciously. You know, until I see that, oh, I made those concepts up. I made those folks up. The way I see that person, I made that up. That's not who they really are. When you see that, then you are freed from repeating the pattern where now you're going to need to meet that person again in a different form, only to find out, oh, I am projecting onto them the way I feel about myself. Let me change my mind about myself. That's the only thing that breaks the pattern. As long as you think that they are as you see them and they are responsible for the pain in your life, and you're seeing the present in terms of the past, you are just literally going to repeat that relationship again in a different form.
Right.
You know, and but yet with all the same pain and fear, you know.
And it makes sense, doesn't it, that when it says that it comes in many different forms, because those are all the lessons repeating themselves to give us a chance to see ourselves correctly.
Exactly.
When I see Anna as not trustworthy, I would see myself as not trustworthy. And when I start to have that awareness, I can now be appreciative to my partner and go, oh, she's showing me something that I can't see in myself. She's trustworthy because I'm trustworthy. And if I can't get over that in this relationship with Anna, then another relationship will be presented, whether it's at work or somewhere, it's going to present itself for me to decide differently.
About yourself.
About myself. That you are trustworthy.
Yes.
Even if I can't see it, I'm hearing things and seeing things that aren't real. You know, that's when I have to sit there and reevaluate myself and go, okay.
And go, God, how do you see me?
Yeah.
Do you see me as untrustworthy, God? You know, that's when we are being taught by A Course in Miracles to turn to our source, who is the authority on us. After all, that's the one who created us, and to ask God, am I untrustworthy? What am I? What did you create me to be?
And
am I untrustworthy?
Isn't it cool that our Creator goes, when I say, do you see Anna as trustworthy, Lord, in this situation? And the Lord comes back and says, yes, Greg. And you know why? Because I see you as trustworthy.
Exactly. Because that's why I created you.
To hear it like that is like, oh, wow, thanks, God. You think I'm trustworthy?
Yeah.
And all my so-called flaws and shortcomings and, you know, I don't think I did this right or that right this week. And you think that about me? Yeah. Just like her, I think that about you.
Right. Exactly.
Equally.
Beautiful. All right. And then it says... So, in paragraph 3, it says, it is through these strange and shadowy figures from our past that we, when we're insane, relate to our insane world. Because when you're insane, the only thing you see in your present world is those who remind you of the people from your past. When you're insane, that's what you do. When you're insane, all you see in your present is the people from your past.
The same people you evaluated wrong before.
Right, exactly.
Are appearing again.
Mm-hmm. Have you ever been in a relationship with somebody who, they barely even know you, but they're just certain that they can't trust you?
Right.
That's somebody who is seeing only in their present who reminds them of the people in their past. And so they react to you as if literally you're somebody from their past. Right. So they react to you with suspicion and doubt and fear and anger, and you're like, I've only been loving to you. And that's what insane people do. And so when you are responding to the people currently as if they are the people in your past, then you are seeing what's not there and you're hearing what wasn't said, which means you're insane. That's the perfect definition of insanity. I'm seeing what isn't there and I'm hearing what wasn't said.
Right.
We've all had that experience in our relationships where people are literally relating to us as if we are every, man or woman in their past. And we're like, you don't even see me. You don't even know me. Like, you don't even know me. But you're acting like, you're certain that I'm like every other person in your past, who you were misperceiving. You weren't even perceiving them correctly, people in your past, but now you're reacting to me as if I am them.
Yeah, and you're going to continue misperceiving me incorrectly.
Exactly. Which means that's what you're going to be doing to the people after me. And that is a great definition of being insane. You don't see who's really in front of you. You don't see them. You see your past. You see the people in your past who have hurt you. So, like, I would be insane if I didn't see you, beautiful, loving being that you are. And then I relate to you as if you're somebody from my past who I didn't even ever see correctly even then in the past.
Right.
That's insanity. And that goes for what's normal in relationships.
And that's
unfortunately.
And it's part of the miracle, right? Because once I stop perceiving you as the same as the past, in other words, stop interpreting you wrongly.
Exactly. As if I was people in your past.
Or just interpreting you wrongly.
Yeah, same thing.
That there's something to fear about you.
Yeah.
Fear is not real, and so anything that's coming up that I'm fearing, it's false evidence presenting itself as being real.
Exactly.
And now it's time for me to put an end to this. I'm like, okay,
break the pattern.
Spirit, I'm seeing her incorrectly. If I could learn to say that, I'm seeing her incorrectly because I'm feeling or experiencing fear in any form, many forms that it takes.
Yes.
Then I have a chance for a miracle, and the miracle is, okay, you were once blind because you thought you're seeing them as something to fear, and now you can see. And boy, it's relieving when I don't even have to know how the miracle's done. If I knew how it's done, I wouldn't need a miracle.
Exactly.
But now all of a sudden the miracle's done because I'm trusting now. I've moved over into the area I think you're just teaching on, the characteristics of the teacher of God recently. The first one, the whole foundation is built on trust.
Yes. I
I don't understand how there's nothing to fear here, Holy Spirit, but
don't understand how you're not my past.
yeah, but I understand that can't be true, and I'm going to trust in that, even though it doesn't feel like that, even though it doesn't appear in appearance that way, the many different forms it's coming, but I'm going to trust in that, and now I have a chance for the scales to fall off my eyes and for me to receive my vision from my sight.
And to see me as I really am.
Right.
Which could only make you happy.
And could I have a relationship with you if I'm not evaluating you or seeing you correctly?
No.
Would we be having a real relationship?
No.
And that's what we're doing often is we're having
A
these
relationship
totally
with the people in the past.
fake, false
Yes.
relationships because
with people
we're not,
in our past.
because we're not perceiving each other correctly.
Exactly, as we are now.
And now we have a chance, hallelujah,
Yes.
to
Miracle.
have a real relationship.
Exactly.
That's the miracle.
Until you are relating to the people in your life as if they are not the people in your past,
Right.
then you are only going to continue to have the same past relationship over and over, but with different bodies.
Right.
You know, and when you see somebody for who they are now, not seeing them as if they were the people in your past, you are going to see them as they are, and there will be no fear, and you will experience the ultimate miracle of experiencing somebody as who they really are right now, which is never someone to fear and always someone to love. You know, so this is talk about transforming relationships through A Course in Miracles. This is how A Course in Miracles teaches us how to do that.
Right.
You know, is how to see each other as they are right now and see them as who they really are now. And that's a way of seeing people in which there is no fear. There's no way you could, if you were seeing somebody as they are right now, there's no way you could fear them. You would only love them. You could only love them. I love it.
All right.
And so Demi says it's responsible to say, quote, I'm healing and not ready for a relationship, unquote, if projecting. Absolutely. Yes. That's very responsible. Good job. I love it. And then Bridget says, I see only the past at times. So true. Yes. And it was Demi who said, we only know fragments.
Oh, yeah.
You know, that was Demi.
Yep.
Beautiful.
We're having relationships with just a fragment of the person.
Exactly. You know, it's a deep thought to think that all the people in our past that that the way we see all the people in our past, we made that perception up. We weren't really seeing them as they were.
We were never having a whole, which would be holy, a whole relationship with them because it was lacking.
Yes, exactly. We were projecting onto them, just like they were projecting onto us. Right. They didn't see us correctly, and we didn't see them correctly. But we are so certain that we know the truth about them.
Right.
And we're so certain that now everybody else in our present is also them, the people in our past. So, you know, so be aware. You know, beware. Okay? All right. I love it. Demi says, pardon all my rants. We love your rants, Demi.
We're ranting.
You love our rants. We love your rants.
We're just now getting into paragraph 3.
Exactly. Exactly. Now, it says, and so when you're insane, all you're seeing in your present world is those who remind you of your past images of people, and it is to your past images of people that you're relating now. And so because of this, you're communicating with those who are not there. If you are, that's what we're doing in our, you know, when we're insane, we're communicating with people who are not there. That's a great definition of insanity. I am talking to people who aren't there, right?
That's strange. And it's them that answers.
And it's those who are not there that answers.
We're having conversations and
with people from our past.
And appear to be encounters with people that aren't even there. They're just people we made up.
Exactly.
That's
what you do when you're insane.
Yeah.
You know, and if I am seeing...
you're standing over in a conversation going, well, I told you.
Yes.
And they're like, who are they talking to?
Right.
Don't worry about them. They're temporarily insane.
They're talking...
having an experience with something that's not there.
They're talking to people from their past who aren't here right now. They're insane.
Right.
And that's what we're doing. We're talking to people in our past who are not there.
Right.
You know, if I'm relating to Greg as if Greg is like all the other men in my past, then I'm literally talking to all the men in my past who are not here.
Right.
Instead of talking to Greg. You know, and then wondering why Greg is not making me happy. Gee, I wonder why. Why Greg is just not satisfying me. Well, maybe it's because you ain't talking to Greg. You're talking to all the men in your past instead of Greg. And you're acting like all the men in your past are Greg.
Yeah,
and you're not seeing Greg.
We've really created all of these invisible characters.
Yes, exactly.
We see them.
Yeah, but nobody else does.
But they're not real.
Mm-hmm.
And we're having conversations and experiences with them, getting upset with them, getting mad at them, getting frustrated with them, getting angry with them.
That's right.
And they're not even real.
They're not even real. The way you saw them in the past wasn't even the truth about them. You know, you were seeing them wrong even back then.
And heaven's going, what's up, God? What are we waiting for? Nothing. Just Greg's having another one of his.
Greg's hallucinating.
His episodes.
Yes, Greg is hallucinating again.
Yeah, he's.
It's a good thing he's so cute.
Now we know why in many forms of religions and doctrines and teachings it talks about illusions.
Yes.
You know, delusions and images. False images and all that, because that's what we're doing.
Absolutely. I love how Demi says, I see dead people.
Yeah.
Do you remember that movie, The Sixth Sense? Yeah.
Yeah.
That's it. That's how we are in our relationships.
Perfect,
it's like,
Demi.
I'm sorry. I see only the people from my past.
Yeah.
You know, and you know that you're seeing only the people from your past in the present people if you are having a grievance, or if you're feeling hurt, or if you're feeling afraid of being hurt by them. You know that you are seeing dead people.
Yeah.
you know you're seeing people who aren't there.
Or don't mind him, he's hearing things.
Exactly.
He hears voices
when
that aren't real.
Truly, like what if in our relationship, when one of us were upset with the other, let's say if you were upset with me and I was to say to myself, Greg is seeing someone who's not here right now.
Right.
Greg is not even seeing me. He's not relating to me, meaning it's not personal. His grievance or his suspicion or his doubt isn't personal. Greg's just seeing someone who's not here right now. He's seeing people from his past. He's temporarily insane. What if I said that to myself?
He sees that person.
He really thinks
That's
he sees.
him. He really
thinks he's seeing
hearing
Diana
that person.
in me. You know, he thinks he's seeing somebody in me from his past that isn't here.
It would make it easier for me to overlook their delusional state, because I recognize them as crazy.
Exactly.
And I'm not going to attack a crazy person.
Exactly.
I'm going to be like, can I get the door for you?
That's not good karma to attack insane people.
Can I call an Uber for you?
Yes, exactly.
How can I be the most
So
helpful?
literally, if I could remember that, if I could remember, oh, Greg is just seeing somebody from his past that isn't here right now. He's not even seeing me. And so it's not personal. Then I could be helpful. I could be like, oh, okay, baby, okay, baby, you know, just be nice, you know, can I call you an Uber? You know, you know, I could help you instead of taking it personal and see it as an attack and try to attack back. You know, and I could be patient and then as I am patient with you, now you come back to your right mind faster.
which is how the ego belief system works, is it wants me to respond,
Yes.
not seeing you correctly also.
Yes, that's right.
And we both keep feeding on the ego,
The
which is a
misperception.
delusional belief system that's
Yes.
not real. It's a lie.
That's right.
It's all just a big lie, and we're trying to unravel the lie. And unraveling the lie, I think with A Course in Miracles, one of the reasons why I really love our relationship, because I really do love our relationship. I just love it. And that's just really the honest truth. And I'm realizing, just hearing and reading this tonight, why I love it, because we're having more and more of a real relationship with each other.
Exactly.
Where the old relationships, it wasn't the other person's fault, it was my fault in not being able to see them correctly. And my answer was, well, I'll just get somebody else different. And just like everybody, Anna and I had a lot of challenges that the ego presented to us, not to see the other person correctly.
Where we were seeing the other person as our past.
But the armor we had with us in our relationship was the truth. Where, no matter how we'd combat that, well, she's innocent, even though I don't know why. Pull out 366 daily lessons to help fight the war when you're down in the trenches on the battleground, and not soaring as an ego above the battleground, but at least you still have the weapons that the Course gives you as well.
That's right.
See them as God created them, as innocent. Well, what? Well, okay. And why am I supposed to do that? Because Spirit wants us to have a real relationship, not a fake relationship with our brothers and sisters, which means with ourselves.
Yeah. That's right. And so the universe will support even the tiniest little bit of like, okay, Holy Spirit, what is the truth about this person?
Yeah.
Or I'll go do my workbook lesson,
Yeah.
And the universe supports that. And so the tiniest little effort to see the other person correctly, or to see your perception as a projection, the universe mightily supports.
Right. Yep.
Yeah. Beautiful. All right. And so it says, so when you're insane, you are communicating with people in your past who are not really there, and it is the people from your past that are not really there who answer you when you're insane. And no one hears the answer from the people in your past except for you, who called upon the people from your past, and you alone believe that the people from your past answered you.
Yeah.
So you are literally having a relationship with the people from your past that you were never seeing correctly even in the past when you're insane in your relationships.
Yeah.
This is why relationships are unhappy. Not because you're bad or they're bad, but because you are literally relating to people from your past who are not there, and that's what they're doing as well. How happy and fulfilling of a relationship are you going to have when you're both relating to each other as if they were the people from your past?
Yeah. How can you have a happy relationship with somebody you're not even having a real relationship
Who's
with?
not even there.
Yeah. They're not there and you're not there.
Right. And who is there, you're completely overlooking.
Right.
That's what makes relationships unhappy. You're seeing them as if they were people in your past who are not there, and they're doing the same thing to you, and you're overlooking the miraculous, beautiful person who is there right now,
Right.
who is not your past.
In other words, you're missing out on a holy relationship, a whole relationship, a true one, a real one.
Yes.
What's meaningful and hard for us to understand and believe right now in the current state of mind that we're in, but one that will bring us joy and happiness. The more I get to know you and your true state of who you really are without condemnation, judgment,
or projection from your
projecting, my own beliefs about myself onto you, the more joy and peace come flooding back into my experience. That's where Creator wants us to get to, is to realize our real relationship with ourself and our brothers and sisters with our Creator is not one of fear. It's only one of love.
Yes.
And when I'm just experiencing that, then it becomes a fun relationship.
And that's why you say, I love this relationship.
Right.
When was the last time you've said, I love this relationship? I cherish this relationship.
Right.
That comes from relating to the person that you're in a relationship with as if they are not your past. You're not relating to them as if they are the people from your past.
And sometimes those relationships end when you see them correctly. Why? As
That's
the
true.
Course says,
That's true.
They seem to end temporarily, but they've taught us all we've come to learn through them.
Yes, we've
and
learned all we
finally
can
have
learn.
learned,
That's right.
Nothing to be fearful here about. Nothing to be anxious about.
Yeah, there something that's been really helpful in our relationship is when I find myself triggered. I've learned from A Course in Miracles to say to myself, Greg is not my past.
Oh, I thought you were talking about other people when you're triggered.
Yeah, no. I said when in our relationship.
I know, baby.
Right. Perception is projection.
I'm just joking.
But that one of the things that helps me to break my ego's perception that I'm seeing you correctly,
Right.
and that I should be afraid.
Right.
It is that I've learned from A Course in Miracles to say to myself, Greg is not my past. Greg is not my past.
Right.
And it helps me to go, oh yeah, that's right. Greg is not my past. That's not who Greg is. And it helps me to see you as you are right now, which is not my enemy, which is, the ego, there's only one thing my ego wants me to see you as: my past and my enemy. A threat, someone I need to protect myself from. That's the only way. The way my ego's like, those people in your past, you needed to protect yourself from them, and you need to protect yourself from Greg because he's just like the people in your past, right? And so when I say the truth to myself, Greg is not my past, it breaks that spell, that hallucination, where my ego wanted me to see you as the people in my past, and my ego wanted me to see you as someone I should fear, because you're just like the people in my past. So that's what the Course in Miracles taught me to do, to go say, Greg is not my past. Holy Spirit, help me to see Greg as Greg is, my savior, my friend, my helper, my equal.
Beautiful.
So beautiful. So then the next sentence is, that we've been saying many times already: projection makes perception.
Oh, wow.
We've already said that sentence like 5 times.
And we didn't read this, obviously.
Exactly.
Well, we just literally did the random number generator.
Yes, just before.
A minute before we pushed live.
That's right.
So we hadn't read it yet.
Exactly. And we'll finish with this paragraph since we're at an hour and a half. So, projection makes perception. Projection.
What I believe about myself is going to show up in those around me.
And what you see.
What we're saying, that mirror. And I've been blessed with a beautiful mirror to respond to me the way I believe about myself. Projection makes. It's what
makes.
it's what creates
the way you see
all the atoms in quantum physics showing up of what I expect to see.
And what I see.
I expect you to hurt me, so I'm going to perceive that you are hurting me.
Yes.
So I'm going to judge that you're hurting me.
Yes.
And I'm going to think you did hurt me.
And have no idea that you are experiencing false evidence.
Right. And just totally, it's like you're asleep during the whole relationship period that happened.
Yep.
You're totally knocked out. Didn't hear things right, didn't see things, didn't evaluate things properly,
misinterpreted.
No matter what the evidence that you think we hold in our hands,
to the max.
Which the ego's very good at helping us with evidence because that's what we believe about ourselves.
Yes.
So projection makes perception.
Exactly.
I made this perception.
Like you were saying earlier, if you were to have the perception that I might hurt you. Really what was going on is a projection of your perception that you are hurtful, that you can't be trusted.
Right.
That was a perfect example of how projection makes perception.
And then it does show up and appear to show up. It doesn't really, but it appears to show up in our relationship, and we feel verified that what we believed was true about ourselves. I can't be trusted. And so look at what she did.
Exactly.
And boo-hoo-hoo. And totally unaware of what's really happening.
A great example. We were watching this series, Mad Men, from many years ago with Greg's dad a few days ago. And the character Don Draper, who is a serial philanderer, he's always having affairs, he's always having, and his wife, who was an actress, had a screen kiss with a co-star in something, and Don was like, "Oh, you were kissing somebody else for money, makes you a prostitute," and it was like, in other words, because Don Draper was a serial affair philanderer, he saw his wife, who had a screen kiss with her co-star, with everybody around, saw her as cheating on him.
Right.
And now why did he see his wife as cheating on him when she just kissed a co-star with, on the set? Why? Because he saw himself as a cheater.
Right. And so
as a betrayer.
Projection makes
perception. So he saw her as cheating on him. Why? Because he was cheating.
That's how he sees himself.
Exactly. His perception of his wife was made up of his projection of how he saw himself.
And boy, when we realize that, it's got to make us do a double take when we judge our partner, our friend, our coworker,
anyone,
and realize, wow, that's how I see myself.
Right.
And I just thought they were an asshole.
Exactly. Right. Now, if you truly, let's say this example is, let's say Don Draper was not having affairs ever.
Right.
The way he saw the screen kiss of his wife with her co-star would have been completely different. He'd have been like, "Oh, that's nice," or "Oh, that's hot," or whatever. He wouldn't have had. He 100% would have seen something 100% different.
Yeah.
So so when you know that projection makes perception, it makes you stop before you attack.
Right.
Because of your projection. It makes you stop before you attack. Because of what you saw, it makes you stop and go,
It's really
have I ever done anything like that myself?
It's really outing your own belief about yourself.
That's exactly right. Which is the only way it can be changed and healed.
Right.
It's the only way it can be changed and healed. If you're aware of it. Exactly. And it says, so projection makes perception, and which means you cannot see beyond your projection. You're only going to see what you're projecting. Again and again have you attacked each other. Why? Because you saw in each other a shadow figure from your past. That's why.
The world that we made up.
Yes. Again and again have you attacked each other because you saw in each other a shadow figure in your private world.
The characters that we made.
From your past. And thus it is that you must attack yourself first. If you're going to attack each other for someone from your past, obviously it is that you must be attacking yourself first, because what you attack in others is not in others. What you attack is not in others. What you're attacking others for is not in others. What you're attacking them for is what you perceive in yourself.
Mm-hmm.
So if I'm attacking you for not being trustworthy, really I'm attacking myself for not being trustworthy first.
Right.
Okay, that's what's really going on when we're attacking another person. And then it says, the only reality of what you're attacking in them is in your own mind. The only reality of what you're attacking in them is in your own mind. And by attacking others, you are literally attacking what is not there.
And it also, hearing this, relieves me of guilt. When those times in our relationship when we're thinking, oh, this other person must be mad at me about such and so, or upset about me about this or that, I can sit here going, well, if they are, even if they are
angry with you,
then they're creating a character that isn't there.
They're seeing me as if I was their past.
And that's how they're seeing themselves.
Yes.
And when I start seeing it like that, then it's easy for me to let go of that condemnation and guilt that the ego's belief system is trying to put on me.
Exactly.
I can go, well, even if that's true, that they're thinking or whatever, then that's what they're thinking about themselves.
Exactly. This is what they're feeling guilty about in themselves.
And that's what they need healing on.
Yes.
That's not my deal.
So don't take it personal.
I don't need to take it personal.
And attack back.
That's what they're working through to try to learn about themselves.
Exactly. So don't attack back.
Just because they think that's true about me, it's really about them. And so let them figure that out.
Without attacking them. Because they'll never learn that if you attack them. You know, if you attack them, they're never going to go, oh, I saw that I was projecting my own guilt onto you from my own past.
They'll just continue to loop.
Exactly. They'll just continue to think that they're upset because of what you did to them.
They'll feel justified.
And they'll be like, see, I was right about them.
Yep.
You know, see, I was right. All right. Well, that's that we finished 4 paragraphs. And what are you looking for? Comments?
Comments?
They're right there.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So.
All right.
Okay, guys. Well, we hope this has been helpful for you and your relationships. So remember that when you are seeing somebody that you're in a relationship in a fearful way, remember that fear is false evidence appearing real. And there's a very good chance that what you're seeing in them is your own past that was never accurate even then, that you are now projecting into this person and seeing this person as if they were the people from your past. So remember that. And when they are upset with you, that's exactly what's going on. And the truth is that their upset with you is truly not personal. You know, they're projecting onto you that you are the people from their past. And in other words, it's not personal. And so they're calling for help instead of calling for attack. So things to remember. This is a wonderful section. if you are needing some peace or some miracles of peace and love in relationships where there is anger, guilt, or grievances going on. This is a great section to use to remember what's really going on, and a guide as to how to respond only with love instead of attack, which keeps the loop going. Okay?
Thank you, guys.
You guys are awesome as always, and thank you for being here. If you want to support these ideas and strengthen these ideas, then like, share, and subscribe if you're watching on Facebook. And if you're watching on YouTube and you would like to support this ministry, then like, share, and subscribe. That's on YouTube. And if you're watching on Facebook, then share it on your feed. And if you would like to support this ministry and these ideas going out into the world, you can also do a super chat. So those are all ways. But really, just being here and watching and sharing is really everything. So thank you for that.
We're all learning together, and we appreciate you guys learning with us.
Truly, we could not do this without you, for sure. So just your being here is supporting this ministry and these ideas and strengthening these ideas as they extend out into the world. So thank you for that. Appreciate you guys. And we'll see you next time we see you. So